Giannis Antetokounmpo over the years has become one of the best players in the league, but even though he was getting recognized by everybody, he still wasn't getting the respect he deserved, especially from the media.
I wish I could just run and with 7 feet and run and just dunk. Like that takes no skill at all.
This man is right now, he's the most overrated in basketball.
Richard Jefferson tweeted, Giannis might be a Pippen. There I said it, he needs his Jordan.
Giannis, ever since he rose to stardom back in 2017, it seemed like it was only a matter of time before he won a championship. At this point, he was a multi-time All-Star, a 2-time MVP, and a Defensive Player of the Year. It seemed like a title was all he needed to solidify his legacy as one of the greats. But Giannis has come up short in the playoffs, and that has resulted in people thinking it was best for Giannis to leave the Bucks and join another team, possibly a super team. He fell short in 2018 against the Celtics in the first round. He fell short against the Raptors in 2019 when they were up 2-0, and then they lost in 6 after getting outplayed by Kawhi Leonard. Then in 2020 in the bubble, the Bucks got gentlemen swept in 5 against the Miami Heat, and it was very embarrassing for them. So it was safe to say that it looked like Giannis was never going to win a ring in Milwaukee unless he left to join another team. But during the 2020-21 season, everything changed for Giannis. The NBA would be shortened due to the COVID-19 virus, and the Bucks would have a solid year in the regular season. Giannis would yet again have another MVP caliber year, and he was playing like one of the best players in the league, if not the best player in the league. It seemed like he was on a mission to prove all of the doubters wrong, and the road would become a lot harder as the East was going to be a lot more loaded, as the Brooklyn Nets were now the talk of the town, as the team would not only have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but they would also acquire James Harden in a blockbuster trade as well, making them a three-headed monster in the NBA. This was at the time the most unstoppable offensive force on paper. You had 3 of the best scorers in the NBA, and it seemed like a championship was predestined for this team. But the Bucks would still continue to do their thing, and Giannis was still having a dominant year, and it would carry over into their All-Star weekend, as Giannis was having a performance as he did not miss a single shot in that game, which resulted in him winning the All-Star Game MVP award. But it was time to get ready for the postseason, as the Bucks would finish 3rd in the Eastern Conference, and Giannis would finish 2nd in MVP voting that year. Heading into the first round, the Bucks would face off against a familiar foe, the Miami Heat, and after what happened the previous year in the bubble, the Bucks were looking for their revenge. And the Bucks would proceed to do just that, as they would not only beat them, they would do it in a 4-0 sweep, getting their revenge and proving everyone that they were not the same team as they were last year, and possibly that it might have been a fluke with the Miami Heat. But the next round would be an absolute dogfight. They would face off against the Brooklyn Nets, and this would be an entertaining matchup as the Nets were the heavy favorites heading into the playoffs. The Nets would manage to beat the Bucks in Game 1 and demolish the Bucks in Game 2. But the Bucks would maintain their composure, and they would proceed to win both home games, with Giannis playing better and attacking the Nets head-on, and the series would be tied at both 2 apiece. But Kevin Durant would go off for 49 points and a triple-double in a comeback win against the Bucks, as they looked like they were going to beat the Nets, but then KD would not give up without a fight, and the series would still be alive for the Brooklyn Nets. While the Nets were up 3-2, the Bucks managed to force a Game 7, and we would have one of the best games in the 2021 playoffs. Giannis and KD were both having a battle between one another, and it seemed like it could go either way for the Bucks or Nets. Then when the Bucks seemed like they had the game wrapped up, KD would go on to have this amazing play.
There's Durant moving on Tucker. He turns, he shoots. Yes!
But due to the size of KD's shoes, it was not counted as a 3, it was counted as a 2, which would force overtime, where the Bucks would beat the Nets in a close game in one of the best playoff games ever. So the Bucks would make it back to the conference finals, and this would be their 2nd time since 2019. They would face off against the Atlanta Hawks, which no one expected to make it this far. And the Bucks and the Hawks were playing a very competitive series. While the Bucks would go up 2-1 in the series, the Hawks would manage to tie the series up. But then the worst thing you could think of happened. Giannis injured his leg in Game 4, and it looked like a bad injury, and he was out for Games 5 and 6. But the Bucks were able to win the series without him to advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since the 70s. Giannis finally made it to the finals, and it was close to capturing his first title, but they had to go up against the Phoenix Suns. While not the team everyone expected at the start of the season, they were a great team, and they were going insane in the West during the playoffs. Chris Paul and Devin Booker were on fire, and they were ready to shock the world and become the new kings of the NBA, especially Chris Paul, as this was his final chance to get a ring at the time. But as a basketball fan, for the first time in a long time, we were watching a series that we did not know who was going to win, and it was somewhat of an equal ground for both teams. But we got to game 1, and it was like somewhat a close game, but the Suns looked very determined to win this series, and they would win game 1 as Chris Paul, Booker, and Ayton were too much for the Bucks to handle on offense. While on the Bucks side, Giannis was not as dominant, and it looked to be a bit concerning considering he just came off a serious injury that should have sidelined him for the rest of the playoffs. But Giannis would bounce back in the next game as he was trying to wield his team to a victory in game 2, but once again the Suns were too much, and the Suns would manage to go up 2-0 in the series. While the Bucks still had a chance, it looked like the chances were becoming very slim, and it seemed like Giannis may have fallen short once again. But then game 3 was a blowout by the Bucks, and Giannis and Jrue Holiday would give the Bucks some hope that this series may change in their favor. Then game 4 happened, which probably completely turned the tide for this series. This game was very close between the Suns and the Bucks, and I personally feel like whoever won this game here had all the momentum for the rest of the series. The game was very tight in the fourth quarter, and Chris Middleton was having a great game, and he was not being stopped at all on offense. He was making every single shot, and the Suns could not stop him. Then the Suns had the ball, and Booker lobbed it up to Ayton, and in my mind, it seemed like this was going to be an easy bucket, but then...
Shot blocked by Antetokounmpo! What a block from Giannis!
Giannis had a game-saving block, and that shifted the tide towards the Bucks, and they were able to win game 4 and tie the series. It looked like the Bucks were back in the series, but Giannis was still catching slander for being a so-called Robin.
When it matters the most, Chris Middleton always comes up. He's the Batman. Robin is still the superhero. He's just not Batman. He still needs that big brother.
Even though Giannis was clearly having a great series as the best player, it seemed like no matter what he did, he was still going to be labeled as the Robin of the team, which definitely fueled Giannis heading into Game 5, because this was yet another close game for the Bucks and Suns. Devin Booker was having an amazing game and was torching the Bucks and scoring with ease, but Giannis and the Bucks had all the momentum, and while they almost blew the lead to the Suns within the final seconds, the Bucks prevailed because of this play.
Leans in, knocked away and stolen by Holiday. Phoenix has to foul, and Antetokounmpo throws it down, and a foul.
This play right here is what sealed the series for the Bucks, and the Suns looked lost and stunned because the Suns had a 2-0 lead, and now they were down 3-2, and the Bucks were looking to close out on their home floor. Game 6 arrived, and I remember watching this game, and I was just in awe as I was witnessing Giannis having one of the greatest closeout games in finals history. The Suns, while they tried to put up a fight, they were just not able to stop Giannis. He would go on to have a stat line of 50 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Nothing was stopping him from winning this title. And with that, the Bucks were victorious, and they won the series.
It's over. The Bucks have done it. The long wait has ended after a half century. The Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions once again. This extraordinary story of this extraordinary young man gives him his NBA title.
Played through adversity, he played through injury. No doubt, given he was a two-time MVP in the league, this year's Bill Russell Finals MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis, while he had all the criticism and hate for how he was not skilled, or he was not Batman, or he could not win with this team, and he was better off elsewhere, he did it the right way. And he worked hard to end up becoming a champion. He showed everyone how great of a player he can be, and that he belongs in the conversation with the best to ever play this game. And you may not like Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you may think that he's just a run-and-done player, but you cannot deny that he is one of the greatest players to ever play this game. And he sure as hell proved it that year, because he made sure to let everyone know that he is one of the best players to ever play this game. And this title run granted his place as an all-time great, and Giannis, through all the struggle and doubt, was able to prove everyone wrong.